But what the marketing pulpit is about is strategy. Use social media and stop letting it use you. That's one thing about a business. It's an equalizer. It's a game changer. We have to think like the successful companies. Welcome to the Marketing Pulpit Show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host, and we are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. We're not saving souls, we're saving businesses, saving jobs, saving our community. Man, quite a mission there, quite a mission to save a whole community. Well, I can't do that by myself. That's why I entreat you every Friday to come onto this platform and join me and help me on this momentous and monumental mission, that's a lot of M's there, of building these strong businesses in our community and putting people to work. We're trying to build an economic foundation and create some economic freedom. Man, and what a week for that. What a week for that. As a matter of fact, what a month. We were right on the heels of Juneteenth. We had that on earlier last month. And now we're going into the weekend of Independence Day. It's been a controversial day in our neighborhood, in our community, but let me tell you this, it's always the right time to seek your freedom and independence. And if you are a business owner, then there are several ways to do that. And we're going to celebrate that today. To all of the business owners, I'm going to say cheers to you. Let's get our economic freedom on. Some celebration. Celebrate that cooling game. Celebrate. Let's celebrate this weekend. Yes, it is 4th of July. And you know, we kind of give 4th of July the side eye, like, is that our holiday? Well, Frederick Douglass didn't think so. He on his famous speech, what it is to be a slave. Like, is that our day too? So we're going to talk about in this show today what it means to be economically free as a business owner. And is business ownership, self-employment, entrepreneurship the ticket to economic freedom? Some may think so. Some may think there are other ways to get there. Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. So welcome to the show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. I am a business developer by trade. I have a company called Gatewood Marketing and Web. And you can find out more about me by going to gatewoodmarketing.com. I'm also the host and producer of this show, the Marketing Pulpit TV, radio, podcast, whatever you want to call it. You can find us on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and we are all things Marketing Pulpit. I've also written a couple of books. I wrote one called Played in Full, which really talks about some of these very issues we're going to talk about today, on how to free up your mind from materialism and all the trappings of things that are just not good for your economic freedom. So I wrote a book called Played in Full. I also have a book called Smarter Than the Boss. Once again, talking about that independence. Man, I'm telling you, boy, when you get on a mission, when you get on a cause, when you get on a track, man, it's hard to stray, but we call that your purpose. So your purpose should be a foundational aspect of your business success. Now, I talk about 4 different things that we need to succeed in business. We talk about a mission. We talk about having the right market. We're talking about having the right mindset. Now, that's a big one. Got to have some money, but all the money in the world is not going to work if you don't have the mindset. And we're going to talk about that mindset today as part of this celebrating economic freedom. So welcome to everybody for tuning in today. Thank you. Good morning, Antoinette, the Delaware blogger. Very, very sharp young lady. You have to check her out too. She's on Facebook. She's all over the place, and she's doing some great things. Thank you for tuning in today. See Cheryl Hillock. Hey, Cheryl. Man, I haven't seen you in a while. Hope everything is going well in your clothing line. Now, she is someone who has dipped her hand in quite a few pools. And thank you again. Thank you again for tuning in today. So we got people tuning in. I see people tuning in from all of the various platforms. I see Marketing Pulpit website. I see people tuning in on Facebook. I see people tuning in on LinkedIn. I see some YouTubers out there. And of course, Twitterverse is still doing its thing. So thank you for tuning in to the Marketing Pulpit Show. We're celebrating Independence today. That's right, Friday on this coming Monday. Many people are going to be breaking out the barbecue grill, throwing a hot dog on the grill and a burger, some barbecue chicken. I mean, that's all good. Come on, we got to relax every now and then. But let's remember what freedom and independence is all about. And as a business owner, we can never turn it off. We have to be on at all times. Another milestone today. But before I get to them, I'm coming back off of a trip from North Carolina. I was down in North Carolina this past week. We were not here live last week because I was down in the Carolina. My brother Leon has a nonprofit called Holla, and we were celebrating a great event down there. And I was the MC. If I can get it up on the, I was the MC, so I may have a video clip from the event after the break. And we had some great acts there, some spoken word artists, singers, rappers, comedians. And so I want to say thank you to Holla for continuing to do what they do to help our youth improve their test scores. And that's Leon Gatewood of Holla. So thank you again for inviting me down, and much success to you going forward. Let's see here. Antoinette says she's back. She's out of Facebook jail. Oh, you're back in jail. Oh, no. I feel your pain there, Delaware blogger. I was in jail. That's a bummer, Dwayne. Anybody else out here been in jail? Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. We actually have a new feature to our platform where you can come on this show and talk about any of the topics that we talk about today. Go to mpi.bz and you'll see the instructions. As a matter of fact, I got to put the new link in there on how to get on the show. Matter of fact, I'm going to put it here in the feed, and you can get on the show and talk about what's going on with you and any of the topics we talk about today. So go to marketingpulpit.com and you'll see a link there on how to get on the show. So if you're going to talk about your being in jail, if you're going to talk about any of the news topics we're going to talk about later on, then you can go to the website and go to mpi.bz. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put the link down in the feed. And so anybody who wants to come on board and talk today, join me on the show today, you may do that. So let's do that. So once again, thank you, Holla, for all of the great things you're doing. And there's another milestone today, besides having a good cup of coffee. Man, I love that coffee. See that branding, ladies and gentlemen? I hope all of you are working on your brand. And your brand is not just a logo or cup. Your brand is who you are. It's how you treat your customers. It's your pricing. It's your attitude. It's your purpose. It's the promises you make to your customers. So when you see me sitting up here pointing out the brand, and it's not just saying I got a nice cup, even though the cup is pretty nice, you must admit. It's about that brand is the iconic representation of the type of company that you profess to be. So when you see that icon, it'll make you think of, oh yeah, Marketing Pulpit. That's that company that gives that great advice and how to build that economic foundation. That's the way it's supposed to work anyway. Let's see, go to marketingpulpit.com and you can find out more about the show, of the many things we're doing. And we're going to talk about some things that are happening in the news also. Man, I'm telling you. Woo! But this is a milestone today. We're at a halfway point of 2022. Can you believe that? Wasn't it like January yesterday? How did that happen? One day it's January, then it's July. Maybe it's the pandemic. Is the pandemic doing that to us? I mean, sometimes, I don't know. I just look up sometimes. It's like, whoa, what is going on? Make me want to pour something in this cup besides Java coffee. But I like to acknowledge this milestone that we're at the halfway point of 2022. Can you believe that? Amen, Delaware blogger. She said your brand is not just a promotional item, it's your promise. Here it is. Telling folks, some folks get that brand thing all mixed up. Hey man, I need a logo. Now I got a brand. You don't have a brand, you just have a logo. You better put some substance behind that brand, behind that logo, or you don't have jack. So I'm telling you, what happened to June? Yeah, what happened to June anyway? I don't know. I don't remember June. I know they had Juneteenth in there somewhere. Father's Day. I got a apron and some stuff. Threw a hot dog on the grill. So, but that was about all I remember from June. All right, let's see here. Now, June, this second half of 2022, it's a good point of reflection, because if you don't keep track of what's happening, you're going to look up, and it's going to be December. You'll be into 2023, and you wonder what happened. So this is a good time to slow things down a little bit and reflect and review. So I hope at the beginning of 2022, at the end of 2021, you at least jotted down something and said, look, this is what I'm going to do in 2022. Just make some little notes. I know everybody tells you got to go out and do a big old marketing plan and strategy at the end of the year. And I know my busy clients and my busy listeners, sometimes it just can't, it's just not in the cards. We got stuff to do. But you should at least jot down, put it on a napkin, put it on a spreadsheet, do a Word document. This is what I'm going to accomplish in 2022. Because you get to this point and you look back, you haven't done anything, nothing on that list has been accomplished, then you have to recalibrate. Can I get an amen? If you said you're going to put up a new website by the end of March, and here it is July, and you haven't even registered the domain, you've got to recalibrate. You say, well, wow, man, this thing is taking a little longer than I thought. What's the holdup? Do I need to move the date back, or do I need to put the pedal to the metal? So you got to recalibrate. This is a good time to recalibrate. Also, you can wear yourself out. Man, you running. But have you taken time to rest? This is a good time to rejuvenate. So you're going to recalibrate, but you also have to rejuvenate. Go to the spa. Go sit up on the shade tree. Drink some lemonade. Chant. Do something to free that mind, to get that energy, that zeal, that zest that you had when you went into the year. Because I know sometimes we end the year, we got a little bubbly. Get a little bubbly on us, and we got the party hats, and we make a lot of promises. Sometimes those promises kind of get a little octane behind them with some of that stuff we're drinking. So this time of year, hopefully you sobered up. Can you see maybe you may have been a little overly ambitious in some of these things? So let's recalibrate, because you may need to change course, because sometimes things happen on the ground and you have to realign. You're like, wait a minute. I didn't know they're going to overrule Roe versus Wade. That was not on the card. That was not on the chart. Now, how is this going to affect me? I didn't know they were going to try to overthrow the government on a certain point. I didn't know that this and that and the other was going to happen. So sometimes you may have to change course depending on what has happened since you wrote that original plan. That's why July 1st is a good time to review and see if we need to change course. I didn't know the pandemic was going to still be here. My plan said the pandemic was going to be over at the end of 2020. I know it wasn't going to be here by July 1st, 2022. So sometimes you have to change course. Sometimes you have to, I look at business sometimes as two major forces. You have operations, you have marketing. And sometimes we do so much at one that we neglect the other. Sometimes we get out here and you listen to the marketing pulpit, you listen to Gatewood, you go out here and you do all this great marketing. Man, you got stuff just humming, but you didn't have the operations to support it. So sometimes you have to let the gas off of the marketing and go back and revisit your operations to make sure you have the sales staff, that you have the customer service staff, that you have the inventory, you have the infrastructure to support these marketing initiatives that you have implemented. So this is a good time of year to go back and see if I need to turn this knob this way and turn that knob that way. It's a good time of year to do that. And last but not least, this is the time of year. There's some things that are probably holding you back. The reason you haven't accomplished some of those things on that list, because there are some things that are holding you back. And you need to figure out what they are. Can I get an amen? That's one of the things we're going to talk about later in this show. When we talk about economic freedom, that's some stuff out here, boy. You just can't go through life and saying, hey, let it be. You ain't no daggone Beatles. You got to be looking over your shoulder, around the corner, and find out what's happening. Sometimes it's the people you're around. Sometimes it's circumstances. Sometimes it's some of these isms. And sometimes it's staring you straight in the mirror. It's you. All right. Let's see. What else is going on? Well, July 4th is coming up. I told you about that. Legally, that was the separation of the 13 colonies from Great Britain that occurred on July 2nd, 1776. They had a little debate about it. Went back to under the tent, came back, revised it, and then after the wording had been fixed, they came back and finally declared independence on July 4th, 1776. Now here's a little bit of tidbit, a little bit of trivia. John Adams and Thomas Jefferson, the only two signers of the Declaration, who later served as president, were both died on July 4th, 1826. What's that about? And James Monroe died on July 4th, 1831. Is that karma or what? You could have freed those slaves in that daggone independence. I mean, God don't like ugly. But anyway, in his speech, Frederick Douglass said, this is what he said. He said, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But he also said, Brother Douglass was pretty heavy. Let me see what he was pretty deep. He said, I am not included within the pale of glorious anniversary. Your independence only reveals the immeasurable distance between us. Ooh, boy, you throw some shade on these guys, didn't you, bro? Anyway, let's take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to do some news items. And we're going to talk about war in the workplace. Boy, it just never stops. It never stops. So hang on there, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Marketing Pulpit. I am Robert Gatewood, your host, and we are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a moment. I'm not busy. I'm just in another era. Lock the refrigerator door. Do not let negativity have another bite. Don't feed it. If we know that women are carrying the burden, they should be paid more. They should be given more flexible work hours. I may stop in some period, but as long as folks back the food, got to talk about it. Strong fences make good neighbors. Now, what does that mean? If you have a neighbor on one side of you or the other side or behind you, if you don't have a good fence, your dog gonna be running in your yard, the kids gonna be playing kickball and knocking out your windows, and the lawnmower is gonna be cutting on your side and all kind of stuff going on. And it's gonna create some hostility because you didn't have a strong fence. You put a strong fence there, everything is clear. Keep your kid over here. Keep your dog over here. Don't have him over here in my yard doing the nasty. And the same thing when it comes to contracts and agreements. Get you a strong agreement. Get it in writing. Strong fences do make good neighbors, and strong contracts make good comedians. You can't mix business and pleasure. Now, to a point. Now, you can go to somebody's barbecue and you can, but you got to keep that distance. You got to keep some distance, even with your family members. When it's business, it's got to be business. I mean, I'm not saying be this stick in the mud, but you just can't get too close to everybody. You have to let that happen over a long period of time. Now, if you've been around somebody for 30 years, they become like family, really. But the relationships you meet, the client you met, you worked for them a few months, next thing you know, you're going on trips together, they're over at your house, I don't do that. Sorry. If you have a jacked up idea that's never going to get off the ground, Robert Gatewood is going to tell you. All right, don't get mad at me now. I'm telling you, I'm saving you some heartache down the road. I'm going to tell you something else I'm saving. I'm saving the folks that you might do damage to if you get out here, start a business, and not taking it seriously, and people are transferring their accounts over to you. They're giving you their personal information, their financial information. They're trusting you because you told them you were in business and they took you at your word. Don't betray that trust. So if you're going to go into business, let's go into it the right way. If you're not sure, right here, Marketing Pulpit Show, I'm going to tell you how to do it. Before you curse the darkness, feel around in your pocket. See if you have a candle to light and light your way out of that darkness. Complaining just not going to do it. Nobody wants to hear it. I'm telling you. Nobody cares about your complaint. I don't. I want you to do something about it. I'm concerned. But if you're not doing anything to light that candle, nobody gives a flying, you know what. All right. So the next time you find yourself facing doom, gloom, complain, get out your matches, find you a candle, and just light your way out of it. Is it going to be easy? Not always, but I tell you what, you're more likely to get some type of result than sitting there complaining and cursing the darkness. Light the candle. Oh, all right. Welcome back to the show. Welcome back. This is the Marketing Pulpit Show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host, and we are here every Friday, 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. We're not saving souls, we're saving businesses, saving jobs, saving our community. Now, you can go to marketingpulpit.com if you want to join the conversation today. I'm going to give you some news items, and I know, and I've heard this from some of my listeners, so that's why I started this segment. You're jumping out of your seat saying, "Man, give me the mic so I can chime in on this." Well, now you have an opportunity. Not only that, you have an opportunity to promote your business or your book or your podcast or whatever you're selling or promoting. We'll give you the microphone, and you can blast it out to all of our thousands of listeners and followers. Right here is courtesy of the Marketing Pulpit. That's one of our gifts to you. This is your show. So you can go to Marketing Pulpit, and you'll see a link there that says how to be a guest. I've also put the link in the feed. So come on, if you have the nerve, and if your idea is jacked up, I won't be too hard on you. All right, let's see what's happening in the news. Man, let me tell you. Ketanji Jackson. We have a new Supreme Court justice. Y'all know that? Ketanji Brown Jackson. What do you call it? SCOTUS. Supreme Court of the United States. What do you call it? My phone just lighting up today. Ketanji Brown Jackson has been sworn in as the newest Supreme Court justice, making her the first Black woman to serve on the High Court. I have kind of mixed reservation about these first. When are they going to end? When are these first? It's just going to be, we just put a talented sister on the court, and she followed the others who had gone before her. But it just keeps, we're looking, it kind of highlights the irony and the hypocrisy. Here we are on Independence Day, so celebrating independence and freedom, and yet we're still recognizing the first Black woman on the Supreme Court. That took way too long, I'm telling you. But I say congratulations. What do you say? Better late than never. But congratulations to Ketanji Brown Jackson on that tremendous accomplishment. It's amazing. Now, of course, that she replaces Justice Stephen Breyer, who was also what he called on the liberal wing of the court. And the court has somewhat of an imbalance right now. They have 6 conservative justices and 3 liberal or progressive justices. Now, you don't have to be a mathematician to figure out that something's not right about those numbers. For many years, it was 5-4, and you have like a swing person in the middle. So when we have these landmark decisions coming down the pike, you kind of like going to bed not knowing how it's going to work out. Well, now it's like you got Clarence Thomas over there on one side and Ketanji Brown Jackson on the other, but Clarence got 5 other folks on his side. Ketanji only has 2 on hers. My dad told me I was good at math, but that just doesn't add up. We've seen Brown v. Board of Education. I'm already ahead of the game. I guess I'm based this one on Uncle Clarence said. But we've seen Roe versus Wade, which was the law of the land for the past 50 years, which pretty much gave women control over what happens to her body. Well, that has been overturned by this 6-3 court. Let me tell you something, folks. I know you should leave politics alone when you're talking business, but we just don't live in a vacuum, and I have some opinions. You can cut me off if you want to, but I think for one, men should sit this one out. I mean, I'm just saying. I may have my opinion one way or the other, but it's just not my body. That's where it ends for me. You don't have to know what I think, but I do know this. It's not my decision to make, and it's not my decision to force on somebody else. So that's the problem I have with that decision. You have too many men making the decision and weighing in. I mean, I know men had to contribute to the pregnancy, but does that make you the final arbiter of what the decision is going to be? No. Well, anyway, that's my take on it. Men, you don't have a say in this. I mean, a little bit, but definitely not as much as we're seeing right now. Clarence Thomas and Alito and the guy, what's the drunk guy, the drunk judge, those guys, that's wrong. Anyway, so congratulations to Ketanji Brown Jackson. You walked into a fire pit there. So good luck, sister. We got your back, though. We got your back. Let's see what else is going on here. We got a lot to talk about in the news, so we're going to talk about freedom later on. And thank you again, Antoinette. Yes, you are so right. Now, here's one of the problems with speaking your mind. Actor Kimberly Elise sparked outrage on Twitter because she was celebrating the end of Roe versus Wade. Now, she has been excoriated online. And I go back to this. It depends on what the topic is and what your role is, what's your occupation. Sometimes you just have to keep it to yourself. She has been really bad at it. It's almost like when Felicia Rashad came out celebrating when Bill Cosby got off the hook. I mean, regardless of how you feel about that ruling, that's one of those emotions you probably should have kept to yourself. So Kimberly Elise is actually feeling the heat for celebrating the end of Roe. Now she framed it under the context of religion. And anyone who's not familiar with Kimberly Elise, she was in the movie For Colored Girls. She was in, I think, Set It Off with Jada Pinkett and what's the rapper name? But anyway, she's under fire. And I say this to everybody too. I'm not saying you have to bite your tongue just like I don't. But you have to realize, one, how's it going to affect you and your career, and how's it going to affect those around you? Sometimes you have to bite your tongue, not for yourself, but your stakeholders, your family, your employees, your staff, your contractors, your partners. So keep that in mind when you make these unpopular proclamations, as Kimberly Elise has woefully discovered. Oh boy, bless her heart. Bless her heart. Now, companies are getting into the action on this Roe versus Wade decision. They're not just sitting on the sidelines, because about over 50% of the country, about 58%, agreed that Roe versus Wade should have remained the law of the land. So the court is not only conservative, but it's not reflecting the will of the people. And because this is a business show, and I deal with businesses all day long, and I see business news, we're seeing companies are taking, this is affecting the business universe as well. CVS and Walgreens are seeing a just overwhelming demand for the morning after pill, what's called Plan B pills. And they've actually started limiting sales because of the increased demand. Google has sent out a memo saying that employees can apply for relocation without justification. In other words, they can say, look, I don't want to live in this red state that is outlawing abortion. I would like to relocate to a blue state where the laws are more reflective of the population. And Google has said you may apply without justification. In other words, you have to give some excuse. They're saying, look, because you can't go up to somebody and say, look, hey, Google, I'm thinking about having an abortion, so I'd like to relocate. That's just too much information. So what they're doing, because they realize the sensitive nature of the matter, they're allowing people to apply for relocation without justification. Goldman Sachs, Amazon, Starbucks, Tesla, Yelp, Microsoft, Meta, which is now Facebook, eBay, JP Morgan Chase, Citigroup, and Netflix will reimburse employees for travel expenses if they have to travel out of the country or the state to take care of their business. And that's going to, man, see what happens when you just upset the apple cart. Just leave stuff alone that has been settled. We did not have to open that can of worms again. Daggone it. Clarence Thomas and the rest of your gang. Oh man, I'd actually be in favor of expanding the court at this point. I'm just saying. This is too drastic. All right, let's see what else is happening. On a different matter, remote jobs are going global because this work from home fever has now affected the global workforce, because now that more people are working from home, you can come to the saying, I can hire people from anywhere. So this thing has a double-edged sword. I know many of the workers are celebrating the fact that they can work from home, but at the same time, their employers are starting to say, well, look, if you can work from home and the work, you're saying, or you're demonstrating to me that the work can be done from any location, then that means it also can be done from Pakistan, from India, from China. So sometimes you have to weigh the consequences, or you have to be careful what you wish for. So these companies, particularly these tech jobs, are starting to be outsourced. They have always, but now it has been accelerated, because now they're starting to see that it's accepted behavior to send work away from the office place. Man, I tell you, boy, it's hard to beat these big companies when they decide. Anyway, Delta Airlines is giving they're allowing people to change their minds on their 4th of July flight without charge. I guess that's pretty good, because the airlines are having a hard time with this. They're still grappling with this pandemic. During Father's Day weekend, the U.S. airlines canceled thousands of flights, with thousands more delayed. And so they're anticipating that going forward into this 4th of July weekend. So let's see what else is going on. Well, I tell you what, let's do this. Let's take another quick break. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about war in the workplace. You are not going to believe these stories. I started this segment during the pandemic because we started to see a change in people's behavior, and not for the better. And it has not abated. And as you will see coming up in a few minutes. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick break. And then after that, we're going to do our segment today on how to, we're going to celebrate business ownership and how you can join the celebration on this freedom train and to become more economically independent right here on the Marketing Pulpit Show. So don't go anywhere. We're going to take a quick break and we're going to come back right here on the Marketing Pulpit Show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. We'll be back in a moment. I'm not busy. I'm just in another era. Lock the refrigerator door. Do not let negativity have another bite. Don't feed it. If we know that women are carrying the burden, they should be paid more, they should be given more flexible work hours. I may stop in some period, but as long as folks back the food, got to talk about it. Every week, we talk about some of the hot items in the news, and then you, as a listener, have an opportunity to come on camera and give your point of view, and afterwards, you can talk about your organization, your book you're trying to sell, your event.
It's a collective effort, and because I've seen it from all facets, where you have parents who are involved in their child's life, but still things happen.
Well, Robert, I'm in the financial services industry, and I just really want to encourage people to get their things organized and documented.
When we don't see our children learning, we see our children in the street, they're going to learn from something. So it's best that they learn from us.
about war in the workplace, I talk about stakeholder relationships quite often. Stakeholders is anybody who has a stake in the success or failure of your business. And generally, these components, these ingredients work in concert. They support each other. We have synergy. They're like, freaking frat, working together. But every now and then, what we're seeing right now, we are seeing them come to blows, literally. And that is no exaggeration. We're seeing war in the workplace. And once again, we extend our offer to for you to join the conversation. If you have a burning desire to join the conversation on any of the topics we talk about, just go to marketingpulpit.com and you see a link that says join the conversation. We'll put you right here on camera next to me, and you can be one of our contributors today, and we'll give you a chance afterwards to promote your upcoming event, book, service, blog, or whatever you're trying to get out there, as you have seen some of the others have done in the past. This is your show. This is the Marketing Pulpit Show. This is a community-based marketing and business development show that's trying to build economic viability and sustainability and success in our community. Our mission is to build strong businesses in our community and put our people to work. Summer is here. We can't keep depending on others to put our children to work. Nothing distresses me more than that. To me, that's one of my pet peeves. Summer rolls around, little Keisha and little Jermaine looking at mom and dad say, look, I need a summer job. So mom and dad takes the kid out, puts them in their new Mercedes-Benz or their new Jaguar. All right, little Keisha and little Jermaine, let's drive over here to the other side of town and see if these people will hire us. We can go over here and beg, and maybe somebody else's community will hire you because we can't do it ourselves. That's right. I have a serious problem with that. One thing I told my daughter when she was a baby, I said, you would never have to look for a job. Now, you might not have the job you want. Luckily, that must have played out because now she could hire me right now. She graduated. She had her own thing going, very successful. But there is something very liberating about that. To tell your children, you would never have to worry about getting a job like other communities. We seem to be the only community that seem to be the vast majority of our jobs come outside of the community. That is another reason I do this show, because I understand the challenges. So I'm not beating up on anybody. It's tough. You don't always have the money, the resources. It wasn't in our culture when we were coming up because some things happened. And many of our forebears were denied some of the same privileges as other communities. So this is not a knock on anybody. This is saying it's never too late. And no, everybody is not built to be a business owner. I understand that too. But we can support those who are. So that if you see a company in your community, you can support that community. You can support that business financially. You can share them on your social media. You can even become a partner in some cases. But there's more than one way to get that child of yours into a company working in your community without having to drive them across town with your hand out to somebody else's community. And I'm never going to give up on this. I'm telling you. I know I sound like a broken record many times. I say, Gabe, you've been saying this for 10 years. Well, luckily, we made some headway. Really, thanks to this show and the audience, to the listeners. We've partnered people together. We've helped people in the government space. We've helped launch businesses. We've helped people find funding. We've created a network. And as soon as this show is over, I'm going to get about 3 or 4 calls and somebody's going to say, hey, do you know a good plumber? You know a good attorney, a good IP attorney? where can I get a sign made? And I'm going to refer somebody in my community. So yeah, we're making some progress, but like I say, everything is, it's a process. That's the bottom line. Good morning, Brother Gerald Brown. Speaking of good plumbers, we have one right here in our midst. So if you got that leak, this brother is good too. And he's all about family and community. Thank you, Brother Gerald Brown. Good morning, Sister Maddie Parker down in North Carolina. Thank you for joining us this morning. Another strong sister who's all about entrepreneurship and helping the community. Thank you again for tuning in. And to everybody else who's tuning in. I see your numbers up there. I know you can't always, everybody doesn't have the guts, the backbone to come on here and sit next to it, but I'm giving you that opportunity. Go to marketingpulpit.com and you click on that link that says join the show. I will put you on the screen today. It's that important because we're celebrating entrepreneurship today. I want to celebrate you. So if you have a business, if you have an opinion, if you have both, or one or the other, I am laying out the welcome mat for you to come on these airways and we will talk about it. That's right. I know you like to hear me talk, but sometimes you want to hear somebody else. Maybe you don't want to hear me. But anyway, whether you want to hear me or not, you stuck with me for the next few minutes. Oh boy, let's talk about this war in the workplace. Good morning, Loretta. Loretta says great things on the horizon. I know it is. Loretta, I know if it's you, there are great things on the horizon. Another one of my friends down in North Carolina. Thank you for tuning in this morning. I think you're in the DC area now, but wherever you locating from, reaching out from, then thank you. And I know for a fact, Loretta is not one of these folks that let grass grow under her feet. Like her feet got sand up on it right now, like she's on the beach. I'm sure that's just a profile photo, but thank you again, Loretta, for joining us this morning on the Marketing Pulpit show. Let's see, Brother Bradley Thomas. Good morning, Brother Bradley. Brother Bradley Thomas in the house. Brother Bradley has his own show every Thursday at 12 o'clock. And he brings us up, he gives us a good historical update. And great brother, he's a intellectual property attorney, he's an engineer, had a great family, and just love having him in my network of friends and clients. And I mean, you want to surround yourself with people like Brother Bradley and Brother Brown and Antoinette and Loretta and Maddie and all the folks who are tuning in. This is the kind of folks you want to hang around. I'm telling you. That stuff rubs off on you. Don't let anybody fool you. You get the wrong folks around you, that's what you're going to become. But you're around strong people like Attorney Thomas and Brother Brown and Maddie and Gerald and Antoinette and Loretta and all these good folks. That stuff does rub off. So don't let anybody fool you, folks. All right, let's talk about some items in the news. War in the workplace. That's what we call it. Man, you're talking about war. The former president of the United States, I didn't think that we'd have somebody who's supposed to be as highly regarded as the former president, and at the time he was the president, in fact, who was experiencing a little war in the workplace. According to Cassidy Hutchinson, the former president wanted to go down to the Capitol with his insurgents and participate. My understanding, he wanted to get out there in the crowd and actually make his way to the House floor. And when the security guards, when the Secret Service said that's not going to happen, the president did not take those words very kindly. And now this has been up for debate, but according to the witness, now the problem was with it, this her recalling of the story that it was hearsay, but it was very compelling. She said the president at the time lunged for the wheel of the car that was carrying the president and the Secret Service to force his way to the Capitol. Woo, Lord have mercy. Talking about war in the workplace. And that he also, with his free hand, lunged for the neck of the head of security. Now, this is the president of the United States. If you hadn't seen it yet, Cassidy Hutchinson, she was the associate of the chief of staff, Meadows. And so she was right there. She was not some idle bystander. She was actually in the thick of it. And she told quite a story. She also talked about all these folks that are asking for pardons. When you've done a lot of dirt, and you know the hammer's about to come down, oh yeah, there's gonna be some pardon requests taking place. People like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Matt Gaetz, and they said about 6 lawmakers, Giuliani, Mark Meadows, all these guys, they knew they were doing wrong. Start putting in a pardon for the crime they've already committed because they knew history, for one, wasn't going to be very favorable, but the law itself. So the war in the workplace visits the highest law in the land. The president fighting his Secret Service. And usually when I'm telling these stories, it's about some cashier fighting a person who didn't get enough ketchup on their chicken sandwich. It's not usually the president of the United States fighting his Secret Service. But boy, these are the times we're in. Lord have mercy. Black Jesus, help us. Well, let's get to the regular war in the workplace that we have been accustomed to, where a customer shoots an employee over missing food in Baton Rouge. So this employee of Freddy's Steak Burgers was shot after an altercation. The customer came to pick up, he placed the order in advance. He got there, and his employee had given the food to the wrong person. And he got there and he's like, hey, where's my steak burger? Now, if you like most people, you know when your steak burger is missing, if there's ever time to shoot anybody, this must be it. I mean, the man was missing his steak burger. Come on. Don't be so hard on the brother. I don't know if it was a brother, but. Okay. Well, anyway, they got into a little altercation and they agreed to meet outside. Stop right there, ladies and gentlemen. Do not go outside. Stay in. Now, this is another reason I tell you these stories. I want to say, I know there's nobody in my listening audience is going to be doing these things, but just in case, sometimes things get heated. We're not as calm and cool and collected as we should be. Somebody doesn't give you a steak burger, let's take it outside, buddy. We're going to settle this up once and for all. I'm going to just give you a little advice, ladies and gentlemen. When somebody invites you anywhere, outside the building, outside the car, outside the church, outside the club, they are packing. I'm just going to, might as well tell it like it is. When they invite you, if you've ever declined an invitation, if I need to write up you a nice little letter on how to decline an invitation, I will show you. That's one invitation you need to decline. Whenever you get invited outside, when you're in the middle of an altercation, you decline. Just saying, in case you didn't know. All right, just saying, just in case you didn't know. Brother Bradley is saying a group of Texas educators trying to replace the word slavery. Oh, brother Thomas, say it ain't so. What's wrong with these folks? What in the heck is going on here? Brother Frederick Mitchell, what's happening, frat? Glad to see you joining us this morning. Got a nice little listening audience today. Glad you guys tuning in before we go into this holiday. All right, let's keep going with this news. Man, I might not have any strength after this news to give my sermon today. This stuff is kind of wearing me out already, and I just got started. Oh, now I know this can't be right. Oh, I can't even tell this next story. It is too wild. Not enough chicken leads to gunfire at an anniversary party. So this couple is having an anniversary. Dandridge and Tiara mom. And they got into a heated discussion, because there wasn't enough chicken. And some people were getting too much chicken. I can't finish this story later. I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Let me, I need to go pour something in this cup beside this coffee. Let me try again. And I know this weren't our kind of people. These were some other neighborhood. This kind of stuff doesn't happen in our community. I know that for a fact. So somebody was getting too much chicken. And I know how it is. You have a party. You get a head count. All right, we're going to get 20 people. So you go get 13 2 pieces. I guess you can get the barrel. Or you can cook it. Hey, maybe they fried it on the grill. I don't know. But whatever the case was, somebody was just getting more than their share. And then when you go to these events, now, like I say, you don't want to, even if you're going to end up eating 4 or 5 pieces, you want to get 1 or 2 pieces to start and then circle back around. That's out of courtesy, right? You don't get 5 pieces on the first trip. You don't load up your doggy bag when the party's still going on. Well, anyway, somebody didn't like that. And so the person who was representing the mom, who was supposed to, I guess she was the one supposed to be getting all the chicken, he jumps in. Once again, altercation erupts. The argument goes outside. Now, what did I just say? This is one of those times when you're giving a speech and you say, now, what is that we don't do? When we get into an argument, we don't go outside. Once again, somebody goes outside. Now, this was so wicked about this whole story. The mother, who was central to this argument about not getting too much chicken, she was quoted as saying, "Get your guns." This is the mom said to the son. Now, I wasn't there, so I can't say. But mothers, you're supposed to be the one to cool things down. You're supposed to look here, little DeAndre, or whatever your name, Rogers. Let's let everybody else get some chicken. And I feel funny saying this stuff because it sounds so it's like a stereotype. Oh Lord, I'm gonna stop this story. I can't finish it. It's too much of a parody. And who knows? I'm not saying it was people in our community. Well, let's go down to Atlanta, where I'm sure things are a little calmer down there. I mean, that is where it's kind of cradle of civil rights. Man fatally shot Subway worker because the sub had too much mayo. Okay, I tried. Atlanta police. Subway employee fatally shot after an argument with a customer about too much mayo on the sandwich. He not only shot a 26-year-old woman, but a second 24-year-old was shot and seriously injured. And I mean, this one almost make me want to pull out my tissues on this one. 26-year-old woman died over mayo. I hope she didn't go outside. All right. Well, these restaurants are fighting back. A restaurant manager, Sharika Starnes, somebody fussing at her because the food was taking too long. She pulled out a gun. Oh boy, here we go. The argument went outside. Well, we're learning a common denominator here. Food and going outside after an argument does not mix. I'm just telling you, ladies and gentlemen. That's why I went to the drive-thru this morning. And matter of fact, I went to the drive. I'm almost telling on myself. I went to the drive-thru yesterday also. I go to the McDonald's, get me some oatmeal. I didn't have my 40 caliber with me. Thank goodness. I tell the young man, I said, look, give me a cup of oatmeal and some orange juice. And I'm thinking, and he just abruptly said, we're doing lunch now. It's about 10:30. So I'm saying there are two things wrong here. First of all, 10:30, it's still breakfast time for most folks. Number two, you're talking oatmeal. You don't have to like put down a special fryer or pot of grease, or you pour some powder in a cup and the little packets they give you already pre-made. But this young man was insistent. I said, well, look, it's just oatmeal. So can you just go ahead and throw me a cup of oatmeal out the window? We get breakfast only. Lunch only. Now, I'm thinking about war in the workplace. I can imagine a different person on a different day that could have escalated. So what I did, I said, well, never mind. So I got out of line. Thank goodness it wasn't one of those places where you can't get out of line. I got out of line, drove up the street, closer to my office, drove to another McDonald's and said, can I have an oatmeal? And lady said, sure, anything else with that? I said, some orange juice. Thank you very much. I said, see, that's the kind of thing to get people riled up. They know so that if I had gone to the first place, and this was my way of thinking, I could take offense now and feel like that second person was picking on me for not giving me. Let me stop trying to justify this foolishness. It's unjustifiable. Shouldn't shoot anybody over there. Oatmeal or waiting too long. Well, thank goodness there are certain professions where we're above the fray. I'm always talking about how I love nurses and school teachers. Seems like this school teacher love is not requited. It's unrequited. There are 3 stories here. I'm not going to read them all, but each one of them involve teacher-student affairs. One school had 2. I'm not even going to do that. I just can't do it because I don't want to blemish this honorable profession. And I'm sure we know it's not everybody, but what is going on with these teachers and these students? Little information, little advice for teachers out there. I still love you. But if you are having relations with a 13, 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old, you're going to get caught. You're not going to get away. Either the kid is going to brag about it or the mom or pop's going to go through their phone. And you're going to look mighty bad. Just don't do it, okay? I do love nurses too, except these two nurses. I'm not feeling any love for them right now. But some of these stories, it's so unbelievable. That's why we call it war in the workplace. 2 group home employees arrested for pouring boiling water on a special needs patient. What did this? Was it the lockdown? Was it Trump? Was it the pandemic? Was it all of the above? How do we combat it? Well, I'll tell you what we do. One, we don't engage in this ourselves. But we know everybody got a little crazy uncle and aunt somewhere. You may just drop a few nuggets on them. In passing, just look, well, you see this stuff in the news. I'm glad nobody in our family does that. Hint, hint. I don't want to see you or anybody I know or anybody that you know on the news. You can't beat this technology. I'm telling you that right now. There's a camera everywhere. You don't believe me? Just look out the window. There's a camera right across the hall, right across the street from your house. It's on the lamppost. You can't get away with it. So let's be humane. If you don't be sensible because of yourself, think about your child. Think about your boss. Think about your investor. Think about your client. Do it for them. 2 young Caucasian ladies threatened to shoot up a Walmart. They said they were going to go to Walmart and shoot the N-words. Now, first of all, you put this on social media, everybody's going to see it. One of the young ladies is a nursing student. She didn't think this through. So we adults, we got to help these young people. We got to give them some guidance because they don't see the repercussions. They don't see that this is going to follow them the rest of their lives. Once it's on the internet, it's there forever. You're trying to get your medical degree. You're trying to get your law degree. You're trying to get into law school. You're trying to run for office. This stuff is going to follow you for the rest of your life. All you need is Google. Oh boy. Bradley said she was a nursing student. The college has expelled her. Thank you, Bradley, for filling me in, for updating me on that. Now, Fred said the social and cultural environment has been declining for the last 15 to 20 years. Well, Fred, you're exactly right. But we're going to bring it back, though, because it's going to take, we can't just sit on the sidelines, ladies and gentlemen, and assume that people are going to do the right thing. So where you have influence, and many of you do, I know you. I know some of you. I know a lot of you. You do have influence. That's why I went down to North Carolina this weekend to support my brother, Leon Gatewood, of his nonprofit Holler. He has influence. I have influence. My other brother, Curtis, who was there, has influence. My brother, Daniel, who was there, has influence. We have decided to use our influence for good. This radio show, this TV show, this podcast is using our influence, the influence that we have, as little or as great as it may be. We can affect some of this. These young people out here on the front line of these restaurants fighting. We got these adults out here acting crazy. Wherever we can influence, let's let the message be loud and clear that we don't condone this in our community. Let's be unambiguous about that. All right, I'm going to come back in a minute. We're going to have a quick sermon here on independence, on business and celebrating business ownership. And if you want to join the conversation, we will bring you on. Go to mpi.bz and you'll see the instructions for coming on the air. If you don't get on this week, just check next week, and the link will be there on the website on how to get onto the show and join the conversation. And we'll be glad to have you as a participant on this show. Let's take a quick break. We're going to come back and talk about freedom, celebration, and business ownership. Marketing Pulpit, Robert Gatewood, be back in a minute. I'm not busy. I'm just in another era. Lock the refrigerator door. Do not let negativity have another bite. Don't feed it. If we know that women are carrying the burden, they should be paid more, they should be given more flexible work hours. I may stop at some period, but as long as folks back the food, got to talk about it. Hey, y'all sneaked up on me. Welcome back. This is the Marketing Pulpit Show. Robert Gatewood, your host. Go to marketingpulpit.com and you can join the conversation. You can also find out more about the show. You can look at past shows and also go to YouTube. We have the shows and the topics categorized. You can listen to 1-minute blurbs. You can listen to the sermon that has been separated from the entire show. You can listen to the entire show. We have motivationals. We have guests. So you can go to YouTube and you can find a little more organization on how the show has evolved over the last 12 years now. Let's quickly talk about declare your economic freedom. Now, I talk about freedom quite often on this show. I talk about the benefits of business ownership, and freedom is one of them. I can sit up here on this show every Friday because I'm free. I don't have to ask anybody. I don't have to take off work. I don't have to bite my tongue, maybe a little bit. But the idea is that when you embrace freedom, you're entitled to certain benefits that may not be available to others. And freedom does not necessarily mean, like I said, you have to have a business. You can be free. Freedom starts here in the mind. Now, freedom is entitled to certain things, like particularly if you're starting a business, you get better wages, your working conditions, hours, time to spend with your family, educational options, access to capital, mental and physical health. You have freedom to those things when you elect to be free and to pursue a business ownership. Once you're free, you also start wanting stuff. That's the other thing about freedom. When you yearn for freedom, you also yearn for certain things. You start wanting stuff like owning your own home. You start wanting to get in the stock market. You start wanting things like insurance. And you start wanting stuff like a business. When that mindset of ownership and freedom kicks in, you get desirous of certain things. But freedom ain't free. Don't let that word free throw you off. You have to pay for freedom. And the best way to pay for freedom, the most obvious way, you have to give up something. Now, this to me has been one of the biggest challenges for most of the folks that I've been trying to push this freedom train onto. They want freedom, but they're not ready to sacrifice. They're still under the shackles of materialism. That shackle of materialism that's an enslaver. So when you get into this mindset and you start talking about being free, part of the cost of admission is you have to sacrifice something. You have to reprogram your way of thinking. You got to shun some of these luxury automobiles. I mean, it exasperates me to no end. People out here trying to say I'm gonna start a business. And the minute they get a little money, they run down to the Mercedes dealership. Now they chock up with a $700 car note, trying to start a business. You know what that can do in a business? That can help with payroll. That can pay you, first of all. Could pay your rent, could buy inventory, marketing. You got to shun some of these credit cards too. If you can't afford to pay for it cash, just don't buy it. You don't need a latest fashion if you got to put it on the credit card. You don't need a Louis Vuitton bag if you got to charge it. You don't need to go out to the Four Seasons restaurant if you're going to charge it. If you can't afford to pay for it, don't go. If you're trying to be free. Now, if you want to be shackled and a slave the rest of your life, have at it. Go for it. You can't be free if you're going on a luxury cruise every month. Yeah, I know we need to relax. We talked about rejuvenating earlier. One of those things we got to do at this time of year. We recalibrating. We are trying to get ready for the second half of 2022. So I said rejuvenate. Yeah, you want to do that once a year, twice at the most. But this every time you turn around, you're taking a trip. Going to get your groove back. I'm not picking on women now. That just happened to be a movie. But guys do it too. But my point is, if you want to be free, you can't do some of these things. Now, once you get Oprah kind of money and Jay-Z kind of money, you can go every day if you want to. I'm telling you, but if you're trying to get there, these are things that will hold you back. And you can't be abusing your body either. Alcohol, drugs, vaping. That is not how to be free. You're just tightening the chains of shackle, tightening those shackles of oppression. So, what do we do, ladies and gentlemen? Let's do this. That's what I want you to do. When you become free, these are some of the things that happen to you. You're free to take risk. You can run with scissors. You can eat fish and drink milk. You can wear white after Labor Day. Where'd that come from anyway? Who ever thought of that idea? You have the freedom to be different. You don't have to walk lockstep like a clone. You freedom to spend. You free to spend your money wisely. You can leave the Joneses alone. Temptations made a song a few years ago. You guys got to listen to that song if you haven't. Just Google it when you get off here. They say you got to leave the Joneses alone. I'm surprised that song wasn't one of their greatest hits. The problem was it made too much sense. Okay, and that's usually the case. Things that are good for us tend not to get the kind of airplay. You have the freedom to work with others, form partnerships and alliances. Freedom to help your community. Free to change your mind when you want to. Freedom to start over. And you have the freedom to stay on that job if that's working for you. I'm not this guy that's going to say, look, everybody's got to quit their job. Tell you, if you got it going like that, you can support folks like me. If you got to take some risk, support other companies. And I'm not necessarily risk, but I'm saying that there are other ways to be free and still support your community. Okay, help nonprofits, volunteer your time. So I'm not going to tell everybody to go out here and quit their job because everybody's not built to be a business owner. That's not a knock. Like everybody's not built to be an engineer working for Deloitte or some of these big companies or Meta or somebody. So we have to do what we put on this earth to do. Just follow your purpose. And so as we come to the end here, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I'm going to do. This guy named Peter Marshall said, may we think of freedom not as the right to do what we please, but the opportunity to do what is right. I really like that. So I want you to look in the mirror, ask yourself, are you ready to declare freedom? And this is not exclusively for business owners. This is for anybody who's trying to make a difference in our community, who's trying to set a good example for our young people, who's trying to build an economic viable community where we can hire our own people, create our own infrastructure, build our own businesses. It takes that freedom, that mindset to make this happen. I can't do it alone. I'm trying to do my part. I do this show every week. Been doing it for the past 12 years. Nobody's paying me a penny to sit up here. Matter of fact, I've told people, look, don't send me your money. Just tell other folks. Share this information. Now, if you want to send me some money, I ain't going to turn it down. I will put it back in the show so that we can reach more people. I'm going to finish on one of Nelson Mandela's quote. He said, to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and embraces the freedom of others. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, it's not all about us. I don't care how much money I make, how many followers I get, how many people I reach, how many businesses I start. I'm not happy long as my people are suffering. So I just got to keep churning. That's freedom. When you have the freedom to do that, and you can do it. Because I know in this season of celebration of independence, started with Juneteenth. Let's run it all the way up to July 4th. And let's give new meaning. No, that 4th of July wasn't made for us, but it is a time, an opportunity for us to reflect on what it means to be free. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for tuning in today. Thank you for all of the comments. Thank you for everybody who's, you have been really phenomenal today. We just really had an outpouring of comments and sentiments, and very fitting for this weekend we're about to go into. I'm going to ask you to be safe out here too. Go ahead and relax. Let your hair down. Be safe. Let's take this time to rejuvenate. I'm not going to tell everybody, let's go out here and just keep working through the weekend because we want to be free. Because part of that freedom and reflecting on this second half of the year includes rejuvenation. So let's take this time to rejuvenate. Let's rejuvenate our minds. Let's rejuvenate our bodies. Let's rejuvenate our relationships, our systems. And let's get ready for this second half of 2022. If I can do anything to help you, just come back here. I'll be right back here next week at the same time on the Marketing Pulpit Show, as I have been for the past 12 years. And I'd like to end every show, as I would do today as well. If you want to be successful, you must do these 3 things. Do the right thing, do it at the right time, and you have to do it right. Enough talk. Let's get to work. People don't understand marketing. You can't stop every time the money runs out. You need to come on and tell people why your service is different. Why is everybody so angry? Airline passengers biting the TSA agents. I mean, it reminds me of one of those zombie apocalyptic movies. And as a community, collectively, we're going to be taken more seriously if we have that strong economic foundation. Do the right thing, do it at the right time, and you have to do it right. Enough talk. Let's get to work.